I have a question. What does it actually mean to overshare? How do you even define the threshold of what you can share? Because if I'm being honest, I overshare a lot. My default method of storytelling is speaking out my own life and lived experiences. That's why, across formats, the most common theme in the stories I tell is grief. It occupies a huge chunk of my mind and my life, and pretending like it doesn't exist is something I've never really been able to do. I talk about my parents a lot, my grandparents, my relationship with my siblings and friends, the pull I feel towards certain people, and how I sometimes feel like I'm just drifting through life. I tell stories about my dreams because they seem so much bigger than me, and I talk about the imposter syndrome that's always lurking in the background. Not because I think my life is particularly interesting, but because telling these stories is how I express myself. I have always been a writer. I was that girl in class scribbling nonsense at the back of her notebooks. My notes were never complete, but you'd always find a poem in the margins or a reimagined version of whatever stories we were learning in literature class. And then this huge, tragic thing happened, and for a while, I went silent. So I have tasted what it's like not to share, and I didn't like it very much. Everything just sits there bottled up. But writing about it, talking about it, turning it into a story, it brings me relief. And for a while, I think it was my way of saying, look, I'm fine. And sometimes my words resonated with strangers, and that feeling is almost magical. Because the truth is, these stories are mine, but they are also universal. Everybody knows what it feels like to grieve, to yearn for something, to hold on to something that you probably should have let go of a long time ago. So do I overshare? I think I do. But that's just because I like talking about my life. It's the way I process the world. But what I've started thinking about though is the impact of the things I share on the people around me. Like the video I made about my father's photographs, I was actually really nervous sharing that one because it felt like something my siblings wouldn't be too comfortable with. And so when it comes to figuring out what to share and what not to share, I think that that's the line that I'm slowly learning to pay attention to. Where does my story start and end? Where does it overlap with someone else's? And how do I ensure that I'm not trying to tell their stories for them?